A large Minnesota housing developer whose massive rent hikes on low-income seniors prompted outrage is now accused of a scheme to overcharge seniors. Housing advocates say they're illegally charging those residents for parking while also getting tax credits. Lauren Lemanchek investigates allegations of double dipping that could add up to millions of tax dollars.
It's outrageous.
These senior citizens never wanted to be activists.
We need help.
It's ridiculous.
But this summer, on a hot day, here they were,
It's really scary.
holding signs outside the Plymouth headquarters of Dominium Properties, protesting a 12.5% rent hike, the max allowed under the low-income housing law.
I might be homeless. They don't care. We're just old.
And they say that's not the only way Dominium, whose business relies on federal low-income housing tax credits, is soaking seniors.
$80 to park your car down in the garage.
It may not sound like a lot of money, but for someone on a fixed income, like Dawn Cordes, who pays $75 for this spot at River North Apartments,
And that extra $75 means a lot. You know, it's enough to take care of some utilities.
but it's a necessity during a Minnesota winter.
I've had 3 hip replacements, and I cannot afford to fall.
Now she believes those charges could be illegal. Tenants at her building have joined residents at 24 other Dominium properties in a lawsuit, which claims the company uses accounting tricks to double dip on parking costs. Margaret Kaplan is one of the attorneys bringing the suit.
They are charging residents for something that the government is already paying for.
And the lawsuit alleges it's cheating tenants and taxpayers out of millions of dollars.
So this really does add up.
Dominium is huge, the 4th largest low-income housing developer in the country. In exchange for federal housing tax credits, they agree to cap rents, and renters have to meet strict income limits. But there are a lot of other rules, too, like Dominium can't charge renters extra for something they got tax credits for.
They could charge for parking, or they could include the cost of building parking in the basis. And what they appear to be doing is both.
When Dominium applies for tax credits, it excludes parking. So in theory, they could charge extra. But Kaplan thinks the company is cooking the books. Cost shifting, the lawsuit calls it. Here's why. Building underground parking is expensive. Industry experts say up to $30,000 per spot. And records show similar developments estimated costs like these. Trail Point Ridge in Eden Prairie, $24,700 per stall. Peregrine Apartments in North Minneapolis, $11,000 per stall. And Prospect Park, $13,800 per stall. But Dominium's estimates are way lower. For instance, at River North, just under $2,200 per spot. The suit alleges what they're really doing is shifting the true parking expenses, hiding them in general construction costs, a kind of financial shell game allowing them to get tax credit reimbursement and still charge residents. Would that be double dipping?
Yes, it's a different way of gaming the system, so to speak.
Marcos Segura is an expert in tax credit law. And to be clear, he doesn't know enough from just reading the lawsuit to say for certain whether the double dipping charges are true. But if they are, how big a deal is it if a developer of that size is doing something like this?
Significant. In the aggregate, you're talking about millions of dollars that were taken from low-income tenants in order to pad the pockets of this particular developer, allegedly.
We asked Dominium for an interview. They refused. In court filings, Dominium vehemently denies the allegations, and they argue the tenants don't have a case because they do not have a right to free parking. A judge denied their request to dismiss the lawsuit. We also wondered, what about the state agency that would have approved these tax credit applications? How would something like this have slipped through the cracks?
Those allegations are true. Number one, I think the state agency perhaps dropped the ball.
Minnesota Housing Finance Agency wouldn't do an interview either. For seniors like Dawn, relief could be a long way off. Court cases can take years, so they'll keep paying as long as they can.
And it's kind of stressful with the money situation, just how long can I stay here and what will I do next?
But they won't give up.
I call us senior warriors.
The fight's bigger than them. They aren't just taking on Dominium, but a system that's left them vulnerable. For KARE 11 Investigates, I'm Lauren Lemanchek.
Well, for years, the Federal Government Accountability Office has been warning about lax oversight and possible fraud in the low-income tax credit program nationwide. You can find out more about that in our story on KARE11.com.